Space, the final frontier. This is the Observer's Notebook, the official podcast of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. Its mission to explore the solar system, to seek out new observations and data, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. And now the host of the Observer's Notebook, Tim Robertson.
Hello and welcome to episode 221 of the Observer's Notebook, the official podcast of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. I'm Tim Robertson, your host. I want to thank you for joining us. And a special welcome goes out to all of our new listeners. Thank you for finding us. I hope you enjoy the show and become a part of our growing community of observers. This podcast is made possible by support from you, our listeners. If you'd like to keep the Observer's Notebook going, you can join us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. At $5, you receive early access to the podcast before it goes public. For $10 a month, you'll receive a copy of the Novice Observer's Handbook. And for $35 a month, you'll be recognized as a producer of the podcast. You can find out details at www.patreon.com/observersnotebook. And to learn more about the ALPO, visit our website at www.alpo-astronomy.org, where you can join the organization, and membership begins at only $22 a year. And now, let's dive up into episode 221 of the Observer's Notebook podcast. Enjoy. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody back to this edition of the Observer's Notebook podcast. And you can tell by the screen that we have a very familiar face here, Bob Lunsford. Welcome back to the podcast, Bob.
Thank you very much, Tim. Let's talk about meteor showers.
That sounds good. Now, we're going to talk about three specific ones today, right? The Orionids, the Taurids, and the Leonids.
Right.
Why are these famous? What makes these three famous?
Well, first of all, the Orionids are associated with Halley's Comet. So
It's a good start.
anytime you can, look at particles from Halley, it's almost as good as looking at the comet itself.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's a good start. And the next one we're going to talk about is the Taurids. Those are associated with Comet Encke,
Okay.
and they're most famous for producing fireballs, I'd say. Um, they don't really produce many per hour, but the quality of the meteors are often pretty spectacular. And lastly, we're going to talk about the Leonids. And I think we've all know about them. They produce spectacular storms on occasion, the last one being 2002. And we're expecting some activity this year and a lot more in the next decade when the comet comes around again. So uh, these three showers are very interesting to all of us, and we always, look forward to them when the haze of summer is gone. The skies are a little more crystal clear, and you can relax under some nice cool weather. Hopefully, not too cool.
So what determines whether a meteor shower is going to be strong in a given year?
Well, moonlight's the first factor.
Okay.
If you're observing with a bright moon in the sky, you're going to see a lot less activity because meteor showers produce mostly faint, believe it or not. Most of the activity is faint. So if you have moonlight in the sky, you're going to have at least a half reduction. So fortunately, this coming autumn, the Orionids occur with a new moon, which is perfect.
Nice.
No lunar problem at all. Unfortunately, the southern Taurids, we're going to have a full moon. So that could be a problem, but I'm going to give some hints on how to get around that.
Okay.
There's also a branch of the Taurids known as the Northern Taurids, which peak a few days after the Southern. Now they're a lot less notable. They uh, they roughly have the same rate, but they don't tend to produce as many fireballs as the Southern branch.
Okay,
And you'll have a chance to observe them before moonrise, but only for an hour or two. And lastly, the Leonids will have a waning crescent moon in the morning sky. So it will rise probably around 3 o'clock, and with the Leonids rising about 11. So you have a 4 hour start there to watch
okay,
your Leonid meteors. And even when it rises, the illumination will only be about 10%. So not a big deal.
good.
It'll be easy to keep that out of your field of view.
Okay.
So, would you like to go into some details about these guys?
Yeah, let's hear about the Orionids to start off.
Okay. The Orionids are active all of October and last until about mid-November. Um, Unfortunately, during the first 2 weeks of October, we have moonlight. The full moon occurs on October 5th, and the moon will be interfering in the morning sky until right around the 15th. Now, on the 15th, um, I've got a chart here that will show us the exact location of these radiants. And hopefully we have a picture of the Orionids.
Got it.
Okay, great. Actually, there's two showers in this little diagram. The one up in the constellation of Gemini right around here is known as the Epsilon Geminids. They are active slightly before the Orionids. They only produce a few meteors per hour. And actually, when I run video cameras, my software interprets a lot of these Geminid meteors as Orionids.
Okay.
So, so it's really hard to decipher between the two. But like I said, producing only one or two an hour, you can basically ignore it. Okay, the lower track is the Orionids. You can see they're first active. They're in Northern Orion. Here's Betelgeuse, Bellatrix, and the Club of Orion is right here. Now the radiant for the Orion is move eastward
Hmm.
about 7/10 of a degree a day. So each night it moves almost a degree eastward.
Now, why
So
is it
right
moving?
around,
Why does it move?
well, it moves because the Earth is moving around the sun, and it shifts the angle at which we see the meteor shower.
Okay.
So basically, this occurs with all meteor showers. They move roughly 1 degree eastward per day and a lot less north or south. Now, as you can see from the path of the Orionids, their declination change is very, very slight. So it may take 10 days to move 1 degree further north. So anyway, we want to look at the peak, which is on October 23rd. So right where my cursor is here, it's right on the border between Gemini, which is this constellation here, and the Club of Orion, which lies here. So for the northern hemisphere, this lies high in the southern sky at around, oh, I would say 4 in the morning. And for it's the same time for the southern hemisphere, but you'd have to turn around and look toward the north. The ideal location would be around 10 degrees north latitude, where the radiant lies directly overhead. So, to be honest, we get a better look at the Orionids in the southern hemisphere because their nights are shorter as they're coming up on their springtime, and
Okay.
they're losing some nighttime hours there.
Hmm.
So, I'd like to show you the sky near maximum for the Orionids. So give me a second here. And what we're looking at here is the sky at 11 o'clock on the night of maximum for the Orionids. Now let's shift this around. And if you recognize, this is the same area of the sky we were looking at in our chart. Here's Gemini,
Got it.
here's Orion, and the club of Gemini is right here. So the Orion Nebula, the Orionids are just rising over the eastern horizon at this time. This is not the best time to see them because at least half of the activity is heading downward and
Right.
be obscured by the horizon. But you, but you can see a few, and if they would occur at this time, they would be Earth grazers because they'd be barely able to penetrate the Earth's atmosphere. And these tend to shoot along the horizon to the south and to the north. And as the night progresses, these meteors will become shorter as it becomes they enter the atmosphere more directly. So what we're going to do here is progress during the night and watch Orion rise in the south. I'm going to shift over to the southern sky here. And we are now approaching the culmination, which is right about there. And if we look at the time of this, it is 4:25. So between 4 and 5 in the morning, it lies highest in the sky. And at this time, you can see meteors shooting in all directions,
Okay.
down toward Sirius, over toward Leo, straight up in Netherland there. There's Auriga. And to the west toward Taurus. Um, if you're cloudy on this particular night, which is October 22nd, 23rd, and I forgot to look at the calendar to see what day. I actually think that's a Wednesday night, Thursday morning, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, the you're not going to miss much because the Orionids have somewhat of a plateau peak. So it's not like the Perseids or Leonids, where if you miss the night of maximum, you're going to lose 50% of the activity the next night.
Okay.
So no, any time between, I would say October 18th and the 26th, almost a solid week centered on the maximum. The rates for the Orionids will be good. I would say more than 10 per hour. And if you happen to hit the peak and are observing from dark skies, might be able to push 20 an hour. Now, the Orionids are not known for fireballs or even producing bright meteors. So this is the one shower that you need to make an effort to observe from dark skies because most of your meteors are going to be magnitude 4 and 5.
Okay.
So if you're observing under a street light, you're not going to see a whole lot of activity.
Now, are these fast moving or
Definitely, they are
okay?
fast moving. They're hitting the earth at almost head on. And I want to show you a diagram that displays that. We should be looking at a bunch of particles circling the sun.
Got it.
Okay, what these are particles from Halley's Comet that make up both the Orionid shower and the Eta Aquariid shower. Now, if you look off to the right, these guys are all helter-skelter. It's not a nice, perfect stream of activity. And the reason for that is a lot of these particles get perturbed by Jupiter and some of the outer planets.
Okay.
So they basically have their own orbits. And believe it or not, each one of these particles in this display was an actual meteor that was photographed by at least two cameras, and we were able to calculate an orbit for each one of these.
Wow. Now, what program is this?
This program is it's let's see, it's produced by my friend Dr. Peter Jeniskens, and he has a certain camera set up all over the world that captures these meteors. It's called CAMS, and I forget the exact what that means, but it's cameras for, capturing basically meteors and discovering new showers. He's done a lot of that too. these cameras, like I said, there's a cluster of them in Arizona, California, South Africa, and Europe is a big spot for him too. So he can get a worldwide look at these. And what we're looking at here are the inbound particles toward the lower part of the screen, and the blue circle is the orbit of Earth.
Okay.
So meteors hitting the blue circle inbound are the Orionids, and they are best seen, during the early morning hours. And if we look at them outbound, that also crosses the Earth's orbit, and that happens in May, and those are the Eta Aquariids.
Ah,
So these particles produce two meteor showers, inbound Orionids and outbound Eta Aquariids.
interesting.
And they both have similar velocities, very, very fast. And like I said, they're not known for fireballs being on the faint side. But the Eta Aquariid orbit actually passes a little bit closer to the Earth's orbit than the Orionids. So rates for the Eta Aquariids in May are slightly higher than what you normally see. Um, you can expect 15 to 20 peak maximum for the Orionids and perhaps 30 to 40 for the Eta Aquariids on clear moonless nights. Now, I mentioned that there are planets that perturb these particles, and back in the year 2007 and 2008, it created a clump of particles. And unfortunately, this program wasn't around then, or it may actually have shown that condensation of particles. But anyway, during those 2 years, the Orionids were as strong as the Perseids,
Hmm.
producing 60 and 70 an hour.
Wow.
And I have those two meteor showers on videotape, believe it or not. And they're archived, they're safe, and somehow, some way, I'm gonna, try to make those available so people can watch and see what a Rhinid outburst looks like. Same thing happens with the Eta Aquariids. They have outbursts now and then, and we've tried to predict when these are going to happen, but we've not been very good. Um, they were thinking there would be a Eta Aquariid outburst this year. Nothing happened. Same old rates. And they say that they don't expect anything from the Orionids until right around 2040. So it looks like we need to put up with, rates of 15 to 20.
Okay.
But, compared to most meteor showers, that's actually pretty darn good.
Yep.
So to best see the Orionids, don't go out in the early evening hours because the radiant hasn't risen. Go out around 10 o'clock if you're not able to watch it when it's highest in the sky. Look toward the east and expect to see fast meteors shooting upward from the eastern horizon. Now, of course, the Orionids are not going to be the only shower active at that time. You're going to have the Taurids and the Epsilon Geminids, as I mentioned before, and there's several others. One I should mention are the Leo Minorids. No one's really heard of the Leo Minorids, but if you're out around the Orionid maximum, you're going to notice some really fast and often bright meteors coming from the area of Leo Minor. Now, you might mistake those for Leonids, which actually start a few days before Halloween. But if you are able to follow them back to their source. And I believe it or not, I do this using a shoestring at night. I'll have a dark shoestring and I'll hold that up over the path of the meteor and follow it back to its source.
Yeah.
And If it's a Leo minorid, it'll pass north of Leo front and toward the Big Dipper, where the constellation of Leo Minor is situated. So all kinds of interesting things out there for you.
Okay.
So take advantage of the dark skies. Last year, the Orionids were mooned. So I would appreciate it if any of our members would go out and give this shower a look and let us know what you see.
Definitely.
Okay, shall we go on to the Taurids?
Let's do that.
All right. Now you're going to notice there's two lines here. One's for the northern Taurids, which is up here,
Hmm.
and the other for the southern Taurids. Now, the southern Taurids are actually visible starting right around September 20th, and they are active all the way through November 20th. Now, this meteor shower is really complex because there are more than one parent source. Comet NK is the main source, but there are other fragments of Comet NK that also produce actually they're called fireball swarms that occur every now and then. And when I show you these orbits from space, you're going to be amazed on how complex it is. Now, for the southern Taurids, in a normal year, they will peak on October 15th. Now, almost all books say November 5th, and the reason that they actually peak on November 15th is that there's two mainstream of Taurids. They're the ones that we see every year, and they produce about 5 meters per hour that peak on the 15th. And then there are the swarm Taurids, which only occur maybe twice or three times a decade. The last time they happened was in 2022. And when we are encountering a swarm of tarred fireballs, the peak will actually shift to November 5th. Now, we're actually seeing both showers every year, but the November 5th maximum is only noticeable when they're producing fireballs. So we will follow the drift for the southern Taurids, and November 5th lies right here. And I think the easiest constellations to recognize in this part of the sky is Cetus, the whale,
Hmm.
right here, and Taurus itself, right here. And the Pleiades lies right near the O November, right here. So this part of the sky is visible in early November, actually most of the night. It's almost in opposition, as we say. So that's good. And unfortunately, the full moon occurs this
Hmm.
year. So it's going to be in the same part of the sky. So it's going to defeat all our faint meteors. Now, it won't obscure your fireballs, but unfortunately, the fireballs are only, a few a night compared to what we would expect a maximum of around 5 an hour. So you can probably go out on November 5th and turn your back toward uh, away from the moon toward the north, and you might be able to count 5 an hour.
Okay.
And if you're lucky, you might see a fireball or two.
Now, define a fireball for those that don't
Okay,
know.
a fireball is a meteor that is brighter than any object in the sky except the sun and the moon. So, and the reason that we like to single out fireballs is they're the meteors that have the opportunity to produce meteorites on the ground. All of your normal brightness meteors are the size of nuggets, little, grape nuts, or really tiny little pieces, and they will burn up in the upper atmosphere and have no chance to survive down to the Earth. Now, when we're talking about fireballs, we're talking about objects that are actually as small as a baseball, which can produce a magnitude -5 or brighter, and it only takes a meteor the size of a softball to produce a flash as bright as the full moon.
Oh,
Of
wow.
course, that's figuring that's coming in at 50 miles a second. If it's down in the Taurid range, which is only about 10 miles a second, it's going to take something considerably larger. So what we're talking about are probably something the size of a basketball to produce the flash as bright as the full moon. And there's not very many objects floating around space the size of a basketball.
Hmm.
But like I said, Jupiter has put all these together thanks to its gravity, and every now and then we can encounter these swarms of Taurids. Now, the last one in 2022, I was recording with my all sky cameras, and I was getting 2 or 3 fireballs a night, which normally I get 2 or 3 fireballs a month.
Oh, wow.
So we were passing close to the center of the swarm back in 22, and it was a great. We were getting all kinds of fantastic photographs on our fireball reports. Unfortunately, in 2025, we're only passing through the edge of it. So we don't expect as many, but still it qualifies as a swarm year. So we're gonna take it. We'll take anything we can get, better than 2 or 3 a month. So, and like the Orionids, the peak for the southern Taurids is a plateau. Anywhere between, I would say, Halloween and November 10th, you're going to see roughly 5 an hour if the moon wasn't there.
Okay.
So the southern Taurids continue actually into almost the head of Taurus here near Aldebaran, and by about the 20th, they're producing less than 1 an hour. So they're just about gone at that time. Now the northern Taurids, they're just slightly north. They're another stream, just like the two we mentioned for the southern. We don't encounter those until about October 20th, and same thing. They move eastward almost a degree a day, and they peak right around November 10th. And luckily at that time, they're just south of the Pleiades, so it's very easy to find. You look toward the Pleiades and you'll see these slow meteors shooting out of that area of the sky towards all areas. Southern Taurids on the 9th will have basically the same rates as the southern radiant does at their peak. And the moon will be probably 4 days past full. So you'll have a window of opportunity of maybe an hour and a half between uh, dusk and moonrise. So this will be a great time to concentrate on looking for northern Taurids. Face east, and of course the radiant will be low in the sky at that
Hmm.
time. So expect these to be shooting upward from the eastern horizon. And I want to mention there have been reports in early November of Andromedid meteors,
Hmm.
which are famous for producing storms back in the 1800s. And their radiant is nearby. Here's Andromeda right here, and the constellation of Pisces. And while the northern Taurids are peaking, the Andromeda radiance will be shooting from this area of the sky between Andromeda, Triangulum, which is right here, and the northern fish of Pisces. So if you're looking in this direction, happen to know an even slower meteor coming from here, you may be seeing a piece of Bayless Comet,
Yeah.
which has been lost for for well over a century now. So let's go ahead and look at the circumstances in early November for these Taurid meteors. Now, what I need to do is shift it a bit. We're going to change the date from the Orion maximum of October 23rd, and let's go to November. Let's go to the 9th for the northern Taurids. Now, let's go to the time. Let's try 6 o'clock, which would be 18. That's close enough. And we'll switch over to the east here. And once again, here are the Pleiades and Cetus, and here's Taurus lying on the horizon. So you can see where it is at 6 o'clock. And the Andromedids, as I mentioned, will be much higher in the sky. Up here, Pisces,
Hmm.
Triangulum, and Andromeda. And we will now shift and watch the sky head toward the south here. Let me move these around, get our best view. And right around there is going to be highest in the sky. And this time should be very close to midnight. Now, November 9th, I think we're going to be going off daylight savings time.
Okay.
So that might be even an hour earlier. So if I click on that, we'll shift things back to 11. Anyway, this is the best time to watch the northern Taurids and the southern Taurids. But unfortunately, we're looking over here and we have Jupiter and the moon right next to Castor and Pollux. And the moon's 69% illuminated. So it's going to
Not
be
good.
tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough to see any activity. So that's why I suggest watching as soon as it gets dark on November 9th and see if you can see any tard meteors shooting up and any of the Andromedids. I might mention if you have an all sky system or even any kind of camera for those southern tard fireballs, I would set that up, and hopefully you have a in, a machine that forget the name, and I can't even pronounce it, an envelometer. Anyway, that automatically advances your film,
Hmm.
and you can set up your camera. And I would take maybe 15 to 30-second exposures so it doesn't get too bad, and aim it at a dark part of your sky. I would actually try to get it just above the horizon because the atmosphere is thicker there, and see if you can get any of these uh, tarred fireballs. Um, you'd be surprised. Get a wide field lens that covers a good chunk of the sky. And if you have an all sky camera, well, then you're going to get them all. Only problem with all sky cameras, the meteors need to be at least a negative magnitude to be
Hmm.
caught. So with your smaller field of view, they can get slightly brighter, slightly dimmer meteors.
Okay.
So just one thing I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't give up on the southern Taurids because they occur during the full moon. Um, you can either, like I said, face away from the moon or take your camera outside and let it run and let it do the observing for you.
Hmm.
All righty. So, should we go to our last shower, which is known as the Leonids?
Yeah, and the Leonids, they're legendary for producing
Yeah,
meteor
that's true.
storms.
That's true. But you know what? I forgot to show the tards from space, so I'd like to do that
Okay.
really quick. We should be looking at them pretty quickly. There we go.
Yep.
And as you can see, this is a lot more concentrated.
Oh, yeah.
None of them rarely exceed the orbit of Jupiter, and they come in at basically a perpendicular angle to the Earth and swing around the sun. And like the Orionids, they actually encounter the Earth twice. Here's the first one. And actually in June, late June, they also encounter, but unfortunately the sun is in Taurus in June, so you won't be seeing any Taurid meteors in June.
Hmm.
So let me see if I could shift in. That's a little too close. That's a little bit better. And that is going way too fast, but that's okay.
So it looks like it cuts right through the orbit of the Earth.
Very, very true. Very true. So, and this gives you a good idea why they're visible for almost 2 months. You
Hmm.
start encountering late September here, and then it goes all the way almost to December over here. So they're not really a narrow ribbon of particles
Mm-mm.
until they pass perihelion.
Wow,
So, and once again, every one of these particles was an actual meteor
that's crazy.
that was captured, and its orbit was calculated.
That's crazy.
And I tell you, the guy who put this program together, boy, he must have had a lot of work. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, now we can go to the Leonids,
Okay.
are active from early November through the entire month. And as you can see, they basically traverse the head of Leo, which is right here. And we're expecting maximum for the Leonids on the 17th. So it'll be right dead center in the head of Leo. Here's the bright star Regulus
Mm-hmm.
and the famous double star Algeba.
Mm-hmm.
So some well-known landmarks there. Now, this is one shower that has a pretty sharp peak. Um, if you try to observe them in early November, rates are going to be just 1 or 2 an hour. Later, they will increase until we reach maximum on the 17th. And normally for one night, they may be as high as 10 to 15 an hour. And then they'll decrease again and be, by the time we hit the last November, we're looking at less than 1 an hour. Now, unfortunately, moonlight will be a problem with the full moon on November 5th. So you won't, I wouldn't even advise trying to see these until around the 15th, just a few days before maximum. So let's go ahead and look at the situation for the Leonids.
Now, the Leonids seem to be pretty variable in their rates from year to year.
That's very true, and there's not as much material for the Leonids. Yeah, let's see. Here we go.
Is that because different years are passing through different parts of the dust trail?
That's very true. To be honest, the dust trails are pretty thin away from perihelion, and the perihelion for Comet Temple Tuttle is 33 years.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's a lot of
A lot of
times there
variables.
where yeah, and most of the years they're going to be very, very slow. 10 to 15 is about all you can expect.
Okay.
And we're going to switch this to the 16th of November at around 11 o'clock. And let's see what we've got. Shift to the eastern horizon. And here's Leo. I
Mm-hmm.
guess it would help. We have Leo low in the east. You can see its head just peeking up over here. And this is 11 o'clock. So this was one of the favorite times during the Leonid storms to see Earth grazers. And I remember in 1997, it actually wasn't a storm that year, but we were seeing meteors, we were seeing fireballs basically starting just above the horizon and shooting the entire length of the sky.
Wow.
It was fantastic. And we can probably expect something very similar in the year 2032. Like I said, not talking about a storm, but talking about the opportunity to see a lot of fireballs. It also happened the year before the expected storm in 66, and there were reports from Hawaii and Mongolia, those longitudes of a tremendous fireball shower from the Leonids. So unfortunately, with rates of only 10 to 15 an hour, I wouldn't expect a whole lot. And as for fireballs, if you're lucky, maybe. So let's go ahead and shift toward the middle of the night. So what I need to do, get this going.
What program is this?
This is Sky Chart 3 demo, and this was by Southern Sky Corporation, and unfortunately, they have either folded or or just gone, or were bought. I'm not sure, but they don't exist anymore. And I contacted them when I wrote my book on meteors and asked if I could use their charts. And I would say it would be some great publicity for the program. And yeah, they were all for it. And you can see these charts in my book.
Okay.
And unfortunately, like I said, this program is no longer available. But there are fancier ones,
Hmm.
such as what am I trying to think of?
Stellarium.
About
Yeah, Stellarium.
Solarium. That's the one. Yeah, there we go. So anyway, yeah. So like I said, this is just a leftover from that time,
Okay.
and hopefully we are seeing this shift.
Yep.
All right. And Leo's going to reach the meridian right about now. Now, there's one problem with this. This is 6 o'clock in the morning, and that is too close to twilight. So you won't actually be able to see Leo at his best on the no morning of maximum activity. So let's shift this back about an hour. So the perfectly dark sky. The moon should be in, let's see, maybe it's in Virgo there. There's the moon right next to Spica. And on maximum activity, we're looking at a 6% moon.
Okay.
And like I said, not a problem.
Yep.
And the Leonids will be pretty darn. Let's figure this star here as the radiant. It'll be 64 degrees high. So you're going to be seeing a good 75% of all the available activity. So not bad, not bad at all. And this is one shower you really want to watch on the night of maximum because it drops off tremendously, the night before or the night after. Now, there have been some predictions that the Earth may pass through some very old, um, very old streams of Leonids going back to like 1299. And unfortunately, the peak times for those are all during the day for North American observers.
Oh, well, that's not good.
So yeah, not too good. To be honest, most of these don't amount to much at all.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be too concerned about, I wouldn't fly over to Europe to save your travel money for the next decade when we do expect a couple hundred an hour at least.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. So, but you know what? The Leonids are interesting meteors to watch, even if they're only producing 10 or 15 an hour. They're the fastest major shower of the year because we're hitting it almost head on, and I believe it's 43 miles per second that
Hmm.
these are traveling.
Oh my.
And that compares to 17 for the Taurids. So you can tell that any Leonid magnitude 2 or brighter is going to produce a train because of its high velocity. So and like all the other meteor showers, when you're observing Leonids, there's going to be other activity. There will be slower meteors coming from Orion called the November Orionids. And there are also showers in Virgo producing slightly slower ones. But the Leonid should be the dominant shower in mid November.
Okay, and what's the date of maximum on that one?
Data maximum is the evening of the 16th, night of the 17th.
Okay,
So that's when you should circle for the Leonids.
got it.
And I've had the opportunities to watch these during Santa Ana conditions when at 2 o'clock in the morning it's 65 to 70 degrees.
Oh.
And wow, that just can't be beat. And nice warm breeze out of the east. Uh, great at night, but when when the sun rises, it gets up to hundreds.
Right.
So um I'll take the sky without the Santa Anas, but if it happens to, it nights like that in November that are so warm
Yep.
and you feel that warm breeze and you're seeing these darts shooting up out of the east, it sticks with you. And
That's the
I hope
advantage of
other
living in
people
Southern California.
I hope other folks
Yeah.
can take advantage of that too. So before we call it quits, let's look at the Leonids from outer space. And as you can see, there's a lot less activity from the
Oh yeah.
Leonids because basically they haven't produced a lot of meteors in the last 20 years.
Okay.
So, and the comet itself goes all the way out to Neptune.
Hmm.
And it's actually on its inward leg now, and will reach perihelion in 2032.
Okay.
And you can see that out just outside the orbit of Mars, they all concentrate into a nice thin ribbon of activity, and that's why they are so strong. And yet they only the entire shower only lasts 2 weeks as it skims the Earth, and you can tell the Earth is hitting these guys right, head
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
So, a nice shower, but in normal years can't compare to the Geminids or the Perseids. So, on that note, I hope folks will get outside and try to observe these. Um, be sure and share your anything you see with me. I will have a detailed article on the ALPO website with these charts, you know, that you can look at, and I'll have some tips, especially how to photograph those tarred fireballs.
Okay, that's
And
I was gonna ask you, are there some simple techniques we can share with our viewers today on how to record or photograph the meteors without the advanced equipment?
right, with the normal single lens reflex, I would, like I said, suggest It all depends on your transparency. If it's nice and transparent, you may be able to take a photograph opposite the moon for up to 30 seconds and not have it wash out. Otherwise, you may want to limit it to 15. Uh, and you want the speed of your film not too fast, maybe ISO 800. I would try that and see what it looks like. Um, I wouldn't push it anymore because the glare of the moon is going
Okay.
to wash out any activity. And you don't have to have it motor driven when you're only taking exposures of 15 to 30 seconds. The stars will still look like pinpoints. And as I said, don't aim your camera straight up. That's the least amount of activity you're going to see because the air is thinnest. That area of the sky is great for planetary observing, but when it comes to meteors, you want to look at something closer to the ground. Don't have the ground take up a big slice of your field of view. Aim your sights and your camera right above it, because that one slice of activity uh, is stretching out for a good 500 miles. So you have a lot better chance of seeing meteors occur through a slice of air 500 miles than you do 50 when you're looking straight up. So,
Okay. Good
and
advice.
but yes, for sure, for sure.
All right, Bob. Well, I want to thank you for again coming on the podcast today and sharing a little bit about the upcoming meteor showers.
My pleasure. And hopefully we can get together not too distant future and discuss the Geminids, which are very slightly perturbed by the moon, but the Geminids are always, they make up for all the nights that we sat out seeing one or two an hour and getting buzzed by mosquitoes and all the other fun things that happen, or maybe having critters crawling up your leg in the
Oh, there
middle of
you
the
go. All right. You make it sound so inviting. Thank you for
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I actually haven't had that happen,
that.
but we have coyotes nearby and all kinds
Okay.
of stuff. So, you know, anyway,
All right.
we'll discuss the Geminids not too long, and clear skies. That's all. Wish everybody luck.
Okay. Have a great day. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Observer's Notebook podcast. A big thank you to Bob Lunsford for coming back on the podcast and giving us a really enlightening discussion about the upcoming meteor showers. Get out there and observe them. If you enjoyed the episode, take a moment to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share the podcast. It really helps us reach more listeners. New episodes of the Observer's Notebook come out every few weeks. You can find us on iTunes as well as the ALPO YouTube channel. You can help support the podcast by doing so through Patreon. For as little as a few dollars a month, up to $35 a month, you'll receive benefits including a one-year membership to the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers and producer credits on the podcast. The link for Patreon as well as the link for the ALPO is in the show notes. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to our producers, Steve Siedentop and Michael Moyer, for their generous support of the Observer's Notebook. As always, you can reach me directly by email at tim.robertson@alpo-astronomy.org. Thanks for joining us today on the Observer's Notebook podcast. You can join the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers today. It's just this easy. You can become a valuable member of this International Lunar and Planetary Astronomy Organization, founded in 1947 by Walter H. Haas. It's based upon the structure of the British Astronomical Association. You can join various lunar and planetary observing sections, contribute to our massive archive of observations. You'll have access to our extensive lunar and planetary gallery of over 20,000 photos and observations of the sun, the moon, comets, meteors, and the planets. You'll receive our quarterly publication, the Journal of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. You'll have the ability to join the ALPO training program, which will teach you the finer points of making planetary observations. You can attend our annual virtual conference, and you'll have access to the Observer's Notebook podcast. Membership begins at only $22 a year. The way to find us, just go to your Google and type in ALPO Astronomy, and you'll see this prompt come up. There's our association with our website, alpo-astronomy.org, and you'll come to our homepage. If you look at the top of the homepage, it says Join ALPO. Click on that, and you'll come to the sign-up screen. Gives you the information on the organization, and there's two ways to join. You can join by mail, where you'll download a membership form, or you can pay online using PayPal. This is the PayPal processing page. You just fill out a few information lines, and then you're given the chance to click PayPal and join the association. Welcome to the ALPO.